No, thank you. Sleepy. Come back in an hour.
Need sleepy.
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God!
It's now time for the Billy C. Morning Show, part of the Billy C. Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C. Show. Good morning to everybody. Good evening to everybody. Good afternoon to everybody. Just how you doing whenever you're watching or listening. We hope you're doing A-OK. Just want to give a special shout out to all of our viewers on Fight TV. And if you haven't got Fight TV on your handheld, do it right now. Go to Fight, that's F-I-T-E, fight.tv/Billy C. Download our app today to watch the show on Fight TV. So go to fight.tv/Billy C. And you'll see some other great stuff, like get the opportunity to watch fights that you can't watch anywhere else. Fight.tv/Billy C. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, located on beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. We'll give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. And don't forget, if you're watching or listening in the WGIG Brunswick area and you haven't tried Sal's, what the hell are you waiting for, man? Go down to Frederica. Check out Sal's and enjoy the pizza. I go all the way from New York to enjoy Sal's Italian cuisine. So if you're in Brunswick listening on WGIG, make sure you check out Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria. Order a pie to go if you don't want to sit there and watch Sal do his shtick. 912-268-2328. All the address, info, all that jazz up on the website, salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Gawk Box. What's Gawk Box? Hey, you like free stuff? Go to our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Gawk Box banner, which is on the left-hand side. You can get apps, you get stuff for free, you get discount prices for games you like, all that stuff. Check it out, Gawk Box. Go to the link that's up on BillyCBoxing.com. And finally, today's show is being brought to you in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Men on the Planet, is available right now where all great books are sold. You can get a copy while you're watching or listening to the show right now by visiting BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. Now, if you're looking to get a signed copy, don't worry about it. I'll hook you up. Just go to our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the book club section. And make sure you check the right box. And if you want something specific for your autograph, make sure you write it in the comments section. Big news today in the sport of boxing. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has agreed to terms and will fight Triple G. Listen, I'm so psyched about this fight. Finally, Floyd Mayweather does something that all great fighters do. He challenges himself. He goes after the best fighter out there, and he challenges Triple G, a guy that somewhat is bigger than him. A lot of people say everyone's afraid to fight him. And Floyd Mayweather, who self-proclaims that he's the best ever, finally does something that all great fighters do. He challenges himself, and he's set to fight Triple G in September. I can't wait for it. Joining me right now is my man, Sal Rocky Senecola. Floyd Mayweather against Triple G. Sal, it's signed, sealed, and delivered. What do you think?
What do I think? What were we talking about 3 to 6 months ago? How I said one redeeming quality about the Floyd Mayweather episode and drama would be if he stepped up to the plate and he challenged himself to fight Triple G for a championship.
Hey Sal, I can't even hear you, man. You don't have the right stuff plugged in. You got to do the right thing here, my man. We can hardly hear you. You're hardly coming over. Are you there? Looks like I lost Sal. we'll wait for him to get his stuff together. But I knew that he would be psyched for the big fight that finally is signed, sealed, and delivered. Floyd Mayweather against Triple G, set for September in Las Vegas. Are you there, Sal? Okay, well, Sal's still working on his sound issue. Are you there now?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very, very barely. I can hardly hear you, but we'll have to roll with it. Anyway, what's your thoughts? Floyd Mayweather, Triple G in September in Vegas.
Billy, this is what we discussed, you and I, on air, off air. You know, Triple G, I told you, everyone after that last fight would be thinking they could beat Triple G or would want to come out and fight him. And lo and behold, as I said a couple of months back, you want to see what would be a mega fight, a fight that I would want to see, a fight that would definitely earn your respect and mine. Let Floyd Mayweather come out and challenge Triple G to a fight. And lo and behold, that's exactly what he did. Do you believe it? I can't believe it. This is fantastic. There's going to be a fight, a mega money fight, a mega draw, and all eyes and all fans will be watching this fight because this is a real fight. This is not a Conor McGregor hype fight or anything else. This is a real professional boxing match, and it's going to be sanctioned, and it's going to be a world title, or it's going to be one of the world's greatest fights that we've seen in a very, very long time.
And then we'll follow. Then we'll follow you with this April Fools, because we all know it's an early April Fools joke. We all know Floyd Mayweather would never step up and challenge and fight a real fight. So for everybody that was just as excited as I truly would be if Floyd Mayweather ever did grow the hairs on his you-know-whats to step in the ring and fight a real fight, that would be the one to do. But we all know that Floyd Mayweather doesn't do those kinds of things. He'll go after a guy like Conor McGregor, who's never fought a professional boxing match in his life. He'll go after guys like Andre Berto. He'll go after guys like Carlos Baldomir, who's way past his prime. You know, come on. Sal, we could only dream that a guy like Floyd, who claims he's the best ever, would ever challenge himself and fight a real fight. I was just in a funny mood today, and I figured, hey, everybody's going to do an April Fool's joke on April Fool's. Why don't we kick it off a little sooner? So for anybody that actually believed it, hey, drink some more of Floyd's Kool-Aid, because he's a fraud. Anyway, what'd you think of my little spat there, huh?
I can't believe it.
Yeah, I tell you what, I can't believe that you can't figure out how to fix your headset. Why don't you work on that? And let me get to some fight results here from last night. We had another toe-to-toe Tuesday event in the super featherweight division. Luduan Barthelemy improved to 13-0 with 7 knockouts when he scored a 9th-round stoppage over Ronaldo Blanco, who drops to 14-4. Took place in California. The official time was 1 minute and 30 seconds. In the middleweight division, Kyrone Davis improved to 12 wins and 1 loss with 5 knockouts when he won a close 10-round split decision over Mark Anthony Hernandez, who actually loses for the first time in his career. He drops to 9-1 with a couple of knockouts. The way the judges scored it, one had it 95-94 for Hernandez, and the other two scored it for Davis. One scored it 95-94, and one had it 96-93 in a very competitive bout. And also, in the middleweight division, Malcolm McAllister kept his unblemished record intact. He improved to 9-0 with 8 knockouts when he scored a 6-round unanimous decision over Alejandro Torres, who drops to 9 wins, 3 losses, and a couple of draws. 58-55 across the board with the way the 3 judges scored that one. All in all, a competitive trio of fights on last night. So I love watching fights like that, especially on TV, even though we do get occasional stinkers. But speaking of stinkers, we got another WBC ruling, Sal. How you doing there? Can we hear you now?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, okay. Sal, you know, this is the way you're supposed to do it. So, I mean, let's be ready next time. I know I was doing an April Fool. Oh, I get it. That was your April Fool's joke to me. Oh, you got me, Sal.
Hey,
you
know
got
what?
me.
I was always a counterpuncher. That was my counterpunch.
I tell you what, you got me good. You got me good, Sal. But check this out. I know you're gonna love this news. The
Yeah, what do you-
WBC, and by the way, my man Dax Khan wrote an article about this. It's up on BillyCBoxing.com, and we want to welcome a new contributor to the website and the show, Steve McOwen. He's also got an article up on the website, so check those out, BillyCBoxing.com. But Tony Bellew. Now, last time we talked about Tony Bellew, he had what they billed as a grudge match against David Haye and won. He knocked out David Haye. And the thing is that Tony Bellew was the WBC World Cruiserweight Champion. And, he had to get special permission. He fought David Haye, made some money and everything. Well, the WBC, jonesing for another sanctioning fee, Sal, decided to label Tony Bellew as the champion emerti. And they are making this weekend's fight between Marco Captain Huck and Marius Breedis, which is taking place this weekend, which hopefully you can see on Fight TV /Billy C. They're making that for the title. They said that now that he's a huge name in the heavyweight division and he doesn't know which direction he's going to go. What do you think? I think it's a joke. He fought one fight outside of the division. Why can't they let the guy make a decision? This is the problem. There's so many belts, Sal. You can't even keep track.
Well, you know what? You are so right, Bill. And we say this over and over again. I wish they would tighten their waist with a belt and really eliminate some of these. It used to be a lot easier to follow and to respect the commodity or the championship or the reign or the belt that was the coveted prize for all fighters to fight for. And that was the whole point. Not to create belts to fit a fighter's career or style or the promoter's money-making process. A belt was supposed to be a coveted grand prize, the best of the best, the one that could signify you are the best. And you know what? They're handing belts out like Walmart sells them off the rack, and it's not right. It's not right. Like I said, even in the United States, it was very much easy to follow who was the champions. When you had the USBA title, which was a national championship by one division, and you had the NABF championship, which is a national title from another division. And then you had your IBF, your WBC, and your WBA championship belts, world title belts, not linear, not intercontinental, not half of this side of the world or another, or this island, not that. It meant something. It was coveted. There were only a few belts available, and the very best of the best had to fight their butt off to earn them. And that's what it's supposed to be.
Well, you're right. They hand out belts now like you're handing out, Three Musketeer bars on Halloween, But it's a joke, and originally the fight was the Breedis Marco Captain Hook fight was supposed to be for the interim belt. They've escalated that. Their champion emerti belt simply means that when and if Bellew wants to compete again in the cruiserweight division, he gets an immediate shot at their current champion. So the winner of the fight this weekend between Huck and Breedis, if Bellew wants to fight them, he gets an immediate shot. So basically smoke and mirrors, sort of like the way we started this show. But I got some emails to read. Then we got to take a break. I got a bunch of emails, so we'll take a break in between. But this one's from my man Jesse, Sal. He says, hey, Billy C. and Sal, now that Linares won the WBA title, the other title holders in that division should face each other. But let's see what happens to Flanagan. He says Easter, Mikey, Garcia, Linares, and Terry should all fight each other to determine who the best in the division is and then move up. Mikey wants to fight in May or June, but I don't think Linares will be ready. Do you think so? I think so. I mean, come on, man. We're talking, it's 3 months from now. I don't understand why fighters. What do they need nowadays? 18, 20 months to train, Sal. I mean,
I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's a joke. But the one thing I want to comment on Jesse's comment is, first of all, there's 2 comments I want to make on the comment. I got a lot of comments going on here. But the truth of the matter is this. Of course, we would all love fighters, especially that we have a plethora of champions in each division, to have those champions fight each other and have the best guy actually rise to the top. I mean, it's basically what you were just saying, Sal. The guy that wears the belt should be the best in the division. I mean, that goes without saying. But the part that he adds, Sal, and I want to get your thoughts on it, the part that he adds about they should move up. We hear that a lot in boxing today. A fighter fights, he's successful in a weight division, and the next thing everybody's saying, hey, he should move up in weight. He should move up in weight. Now, traditionally, the reason why they moved up in weight was, if they cleaned out a division or if they physically couldn't make weight anymore because they were growing. It was a young fighter, getting older and couldn't make weight. I mean, those are reasons, or if somebody sees a lucrative opportunity in a weight class above them, they want to move up and fight that. But I think that today, too many fans, especially younger fans, expect fighters to move up too quickly. I think Chocolatito Gonzalez fell prey to the pressure of moving up and ultimately came out on the losing end in his last fight. I mean, what's your thoughts on fan bases, promoters, networks, managers, etc., kind of pulling the trigger pretty quickly on young fighters moving up?
Well, as you said, all fighters, or most fighters that we know from the other decades, challenge themselves. And yes, if they cleaned up a division, what more was left for them to prove? So they would look at it and say, hey, you know what? I could gain an extra 8 pounds and I can challenge that guy over there. I think we put on a great show and I want that title. And they would do that. And they would start the press and they would start making those announcements to get the excitement, getting the blood flow, getting the meat on the bone, if you will. And now you're seeing the promotional outfits and everything else. If there's a fighter that shows promise or has cleaned up their division, I guess they're starting that whole campaign, or they're doing it prematurely. I'm not sure, but if a fighter's comfortable and he's in his division, he's in his weight class, and he's at his best where he fights in his weight class, he can make that decision. But if he wants to challenge himself and he wants to move up to another weight class, that's all and good. But I think the promotions, the promotional outfits, and the fans driving that, all they could do is call for it. But the fighter, it's up to him what he wants to do. And if the money's right, like I said, the prize has to be worth a price for any fighter to want to do something. That's the whole thing. If the prize isn't worth the price, you know what? Let him stay in his weight class. Let him do what he's got to do. If he's cleaning it up, let him keep sweeping and maintaining it.
That's the bottom line. I wish that fighters just did what we call dominate a division, and then when there's nothing left in that division, then move up. I got some more emails. I got more part of Jesse's email, but first, Sal and I must take a break. We'll be back in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now, back to C Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us. And don't forget about checking us out on Fight TV. Download the app today. Fight, that's F-I-T-E, fight.tv/Billy C. I'm here with Sal Rocky Senecola. We got some emails to read. Coming up a little bit later, our Blast from the Past features as another request. We're starting to get a bunch of great requests, so I appreciate that. This week's Blast from the Past features former world champion and Boxing Hall of Famer Kenny Buchanan. So we'll chat about him a little bit later when Alex joins us. But Jesse, his other comments are here. He says, Barrera, he means Sullivan Barrera, went from fighting Artur Beterbiev to Paul Parker. I don't understand this. This is why boxing is wasting its time. It's easy to understand, right, Sal? It's called money.
Absolutely.
It's called money.
I need the Webster's Dictionary right in front of me.
Yeah, it's somebody didn't like the zeros or whatever and backed out. So he says I read that Manuel Avila will face Joseph Diaz. This is what boxing is about, to determine which young prospect will move on. I agree. I mean, I think once a fighter gets 12, 15 fights under their belt with progressively increased level of opposition, it's time to face another prospect, and the winner of that becomes a contender. I mean, that's the way it should be. And then you end up with quality fighters as contenders and ultimately as champions. He says, how do you see Scott Quigg against Voriol Simon? Is this a legit bout? I'm not so sure, Jesse. The fight's scheduled for April 29th. Simon is 35 years old. In that division is pretty old. He does have an impressive looking record, 21 wins and 1 loss, with 9 of his wins coming by knockout. This is a guy from Romania. He's a Romanian fighter. He's ranked number 33 by the computer. His only loss was against really the only recognizable name on his resume, and that's Lee Selby, and that took place in 2013. Most of his fights were in Romania. No, I don't think this is a world-class matchup by any means. So anyway, he says, how do you think Dimitris Kurtazov will regain his contention status? Do you think he's facing a guy who knocked him out in Duradola? I don't know. I'm looking forward to that fight. It's a good one. Thanks for the email. Jesse, we got a long one here, Sal, from Johnston, and I wish you guys do me a favor and try and keep the emails a little shorter, but I will read it. Remember, if you take the time to write us an email with a comment, question, or concern, we'll take the time to read it. Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. He says, good morning, Billy C. and Sal. Not sure if you guys spotted a recent interview with James DeGale, but he has indicated that he would love to fight his next fight to be held at the Arsenal football stadium in June. The 4 names he threw into the hat was a rematch with Groves, Callum Smith, Triple G at middleweight, and Andre Ward at light heavyweight, with Triple G expecting to fight Saunders in June. And Callum Smith ordered to fight Anthony Durrell by the WBC. I can't see either of them being made. The only thing is I'm glad that he's at least wanting to fight these guys. It's something that fighters don't do, Sal. I mean, he's calling out some big names in a big stadium. It sounds like he's looking to make big bucks.
Bigger and bigger and bigger, absolutely. But he's challenging himself, and I like that.
He said he doesn't think that Groves will fight him, and he doesn't think that Ward. Listen, Ward is turned into a real pansy. So I don't even want to mention that. Ward's not doing anything. Ward thinks he's a big name all of a sudden, and it's a joke. And poor Rock Nation, boy, are they suffering a slow death. They're 2 big stars, Andre Ward and Miguel Cotto. Can you get any more of diva-based stars in your stable? I don't think so. He says, I'm not going to. He says, the British boxing boom in the last 12 months. Obviously, I skipped over some of this. He says, lastly, the British boxing boom in the last 12 months has been great, and more people are talking about and watching fights more than ever. But there's one thing that fans probably don't want to hear. We've never had a year in British boxing history where 11 of our boxers have come up short in world title fights. It just goes to show that boxing is not an easy sport, no matter what era you're in. On the era subject, he would like to know our thoughts. Who would win? Linares against Alexis Arguello. Linares just had a really great performance this past weekend. I don't think it's even close. I hate to say it, but Alexis Arguello destroys Linares. What do you think, Sal?
Yeah, I think that's hard. I mean, I'll tell you, Alexis Arguello had that right hand, man. It came over just like a slamming of an iron gate. And when he hit home, forget about it. You were iced. You were out. He was a great boxer, too.
Another fight he's got here is Lomachenko against Chavez Sr. As much as I love Lomachenko, and I think that, he's an example of the sweet science, and I'm sure he's going to have a stellar professional career. Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. Was an exception to I can't see Lomachenko as great as I think he is, beating a young, in his prime, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. No one else could. I mean, what did he go, 80 fights before he lost his first fight? What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? He was a very special fighter. I mean, Lomachenko is by all means. I think he's a very special fighter. But we know Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. I mean, this guy just ate nails and would do anything he had to do to win. And that was the fire in his belly, and that was the determination, the blinders, the way he just carried himself. He was a true champion, a true fighter, a true warrior. And he'd do whatever he had to do, whatever it took. And he made it happen. So, yeah, I think he would be the victor if those two had the opportunity to fight.
For anyone that's watching us on the stream right now, I know there's a lot of chat rooms out there, but if you want to be part of the show and get some of your comments discussed here, you got to come over to our chat room on BillyCBoxing.com. There's a bunch of people in there now, and the topics going on in there they're pretty interesting. So leave whatever chat room you're in and come on over to the BillyCBoxing.com chat room. It's real easy to log in. All you need is a Facebook or Twitter account. And finally, he wants to know, who do we think would have won Triple G against Marvin Hagler, Sal? I'll let you answer first.
Oh, wow. Hey. Talk about, Marvin cleaning up his weight division. And he stayed at 160. He stayed a legitimate middleweight. And it wasn't until Sugar Ray Leonard challenged himself and moved up to 160 to dethrone Marvin with that shot, with that fight. But I think, we got to talk to Alex about this. I'd like to see him run this through a computer. There are so many variables yet. Marvin was the warrior. I mean, you could hit him. If he bled, he just fired him up. I would like to think that Marvin may have been a little more. I think Marvin Hagler could have beaten definitely Triple G. Would have been a war, but I think Marvin would have been smart enough to figure it out and carry it right to him and give Triple G the kind of fight he wants. Then it would just be a matter of who's going to go down. And we saw what happened when Marvin Hagler met Tommy Hearns in the middle of the ring and they exchanged blows. Who got the better end of that stick? I think the same confrontation would happen if the two of them met, and I think that Marvin would be the one standing in the end.
I would love. I wish somebody would come up with a time machine so we could get these.
Wouldn't
matches.
that be great?
I mean,
wow.
it would be a great fight. Here's the way I see it going. Marvin Hagler. Really was one of the greatest middleweights of all time. The fight with Sugar Ray Leonard just goes to show what, today, we started off our show with making fun of Floyd because he's such a Mayweather,
You caught me, Bill. You got me. I'm telling you, that was like a boom, cold cock, man. You just hit me right on the floor. I got back up smiling. I said, wow, you just give me that water bottle. No, not the brown one.
Exactly, not that one. The one I mixed. Not that one. The one I mixed. But the funny thing is it just bothers the hell out of me how a young generation of fight fans believe Floyd Mayweather and all his, smokescreen BS. And, you start off, it would mean so much to the sport and to Floyd's legacy, whether he won or lost, if he ever challenged himself and went after a guy like Triple G. And Sugar Ray Leonard did just that when he fought Marvin Hagler. And Sugar Ray Leonard would have beat the snot out of Floyd Mayweather, I know. The truth of the matter is that Sugar Ray Leonard was not happy unless he was challenging himself to the utmost max. And if when you see and all the accolades I could give to Marvin Hagler, that was the one fight he approached wrong. You mentioned the Tommy Hearns Marvin Hagler fight. They met in the center of the ring. It was personally the most exciting three rounds of live boxing I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. Obviously there was a lot of great fights, but watching live, I never witnessed anything like it, and I probably never will. But when Hagler fought Sugar Ray Leonard, he fought a stupid fight. He fought Sugar Ray Leonard's fight. I think if the powers that be let a super matchup like Triple G and Marvin Hagler fight take place, both in their prime, it would be interesting, Sal, because they both have granite chins. They both love to mix it up. I do believe that Triple G actually, although people don't see it a lot, I think that his boxing skills are better than Marvin Hagler. But even so, I would have picked Marvin Hagler every single day of the week. As much as I like Triple G, Marvin Hagler beats Triple G. Marvin Hagler pretty much beats everybody, despite he had a couple of losses in his career. Very good middleweight. I mean, when you get into some of the historical middleweights of yesteryear, the Stanley Ketchels, etc., Marvin's got some trouble. But as far as Triple G, I think he beats Triple G. Great look at some potential matchups, huh?
Oh yeah.
We got a couple of emails from my man Mitch, and then we'll take a break. And I got let's see, we got a couple more emails after that. My man Mitch says, a while back you said something along the lines of watch Andre Ward hold all these belts up or find a way to get out of the Kovalev rematch. He says, then I see these two quotes from Andre Ward to Kovalev. Yeah, both of them, I'm not going to promote Andre Ward's quotes, but yeah, both of them basically, it definitely seems like he's, biatching out of fighting Kovalev, which doesn't surprise me. Andre Ward has really taken the wrong path as far. I feel terrible how much I loved this guy at one point because he's embarrassing right now. He is just, he's a diva. He's a diva. He says this is straight BS from a guy who knows that he lost his fight against Kovalev. He's used to fighting once or twice a year, in some cases none. Yet he's still acting like he's able to perform well. Guys like Triple G and Kovalev need to stay active, especially after the age of 30. So they'll try and make guys wait to fight them to get them rusty. So he's referring to Andre Ward trying to make Kovalev wait. He says, all the while, Chicken Stevenson or Chickenson pays Alvarez to step aside so he can fight Shawnee Monahan, another guy who isn't a mandatory challenger, who's nothing of a threat. I've never seen a fighter avoid so many fights and still remain champion. It's not Deontay, Billy. I have to say that Adonis Chickenson is the most protected fighter in boxing. It's tough to argue with him there. At least Stevenson fought some real fights in his past. Deontay's yet to fight one. He says, one last thing, I think Plan B is in full effect. David Lemieux just signed a fight on Canelo's undercard, which we'll get to in a minute. He says, could it be Canelo against Lemieux if they both win? This sounds like a Mayweather type of blueprint all over again. Every time this guy was supposed to fight somebody, another opponent came about. For example, Maidana wasn't even on Mayweather's radar when he shocked Broner. Then Floyd fights him twice. Lemieux wasn't on Canelo's radar. Then he pulverizes Stevens, and now he's a monster on Canelo's radar. Don't be shocked if it happens. I'm thinking it won't, but ... Hold that thought, Sal, because I want your opinion. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And, but just before we went to break, we got a great email. And Sal, Rocky Senecola, is with me. And, my man Mitch posed a great question. Are we potentially seeing the buildup of a potential showdown between David Lemieux and Canelo Alvarez? Lemieux, which I'll talk about here in a minute, was added to the Canelo undercard, and Canelo, as we know, is fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., a fight that I think is a tough one. They're also we're trying to say that he wants to fight Triple G, but what's your thoughts? Do you think Mitch is onto something? Possibility of Lemieux fighting Canelo?
I think he's onto something. I'll tell you what. That's how you showcase a fighter, potential opponents for each other. And you have the undercard, such as this one, with a top draw and in the same weight division, or possibly the same weight division, and that would be Dave Lemieux, showcasing a fight against an opponent and fighting on the undercard of that main event. So I think that right now that's a great description and great possibility, and I think it's right on the money.
Just to get off topic here, but to follow up with David Lemieux, you see, this is my point, boys and girls. When a fighter has a performance like David Lemieux's last performance against Curtis Stevens, and they leave an impact, and the impact is still, as a matter of fact, speaking of leaving impacts, the impact on Stevens' face is still there. But the knockout was such a devastating knockout. Everybody has talked about David Lemieux from that point on, and there's interest there. Sal, you and I talk about this all the time, and again, we're kind of kicking Floyd Mayweather around today, because he's kind of a joke and doesn't fight real fights, and we did a little April Fool's joke the beginning of the show, but
I'm still recovering.
But the truth of the matter is. Here we are, David Lemieux. People, you mentioned David Lemieux. You gotta have the knockout of Curtis Stevens pop in your head, and now he's fighting immediately afterwards on this undercard. Now people are talking, maybe he'll fight Canelo, and Canelo Lemieux would be a great draw. I mean, the impact that a fighter makes for being exciting and going after his fighter is something that you can't put a dollar value on. Floyd, when I think of Floyd, yes, of course I think of a tactician. I think of a guy that is defensively, superb and all these things. He's made so much money, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think of the word excitement. There's no excitement in Floyd Mayweather. I mean, yes, he was a guy that you can't deny that, he was one of the best of his era. But he's not an exciting fighter. David Lemieux, he's exciting. He's a fighter I think people would want to see fight Canelo.
Well, yeah, when you can end a fight with such a thunderous punch as Lemieux had against Curtis Stevens, I mean, that leaves a lasting impression in the boxing world. And Canelo, I think that would be a potentially great matchup. And you have a lot to look at with those two fighters if they ever did meet in a squared circle. I think it'd be a great draw. So why not showcase them both on the same card? And if both of them are the victors, hey, it's a natural layup. Let's get them in the ring together.
This is from Rick. He says, "Hey, Billy C and Sal." Actually, he says, "What up, Billy C and Sal? Can I put a blast from the past request in for Leon Spinks? I'm a big fan of Neon Leon, although I've never been able to find too much info on his Marine Corps service. I realize most people will kiss Cassius Clay's butt for being a draft dodger, but I've always enjoyed the fact that many of his tougher fights came against Marines. Even Chuck Wepner had Clay down on his butt for a second. I've always imagined Leon would have been a pretty cool Marine to serve alongside with, especially after hours. If you've ever been up to the International Boxing Hall of Fame, hanging out with Leon Spinks after hours is quite the experience. But
we had that opportunity a couple of years ago, and that's probably the last time I saw my old buddy Aaron Pryor.
It's the last time everyone saw Aaron Pryor, unfortunately. But yeah, Rick, no problem. We have it on the list. I will put that on our list, and Alex and I will do a blast from the past on Neon Leon sometime in the near future. So stay tuned in, and when we do it, we'll give you a shout out. One last email. This one's from Joel. He says, "Hey, Billy C, I was curious on you and Sal's thoughts on the two fights this weekend. How do you see Marco Huck versus Marius Breedis fight going? And do you guys think of the return of Ricardo Mayorga in Nicaragua versus Jordel Zapata? Can Mayorga be as serious to make another comeback at the age of 43? Or do you see this as a promoter just trying to make a buck off of Mayorga?" Well, I'll answer that question first. I think it's more Mayorga trying to make a few bucks. He's down on his luck, and he's trying to make some money. A promoter probably, has him as a recognizable name. But let's make no mistake, even when he was in his prime, he was a wild fighter. I think he's just trying to make a few bucks. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, like you said, at 43, what prospects are ahead of a fighter who's had his best days behind him and his marketable days behind him. So I think it's maybe one of his maybe attempts to cash in and see what he could do afterwards.
As far as the fight, Marco Captain Huck against Marius Breedis fight this weekend, I love the fight. I love Marco Captain Huck. I always have. My knock on him is that he is a fighter that fights in spurts. He takes a lot of time off during the rounds. He makes fights closer than they should be. I wish the cruiserweight division was more popular here in the States than it is. It's very popular in Europe, specifically in Germany. I like the fight. I hope Fight TV gets it. We'll keep you posted on that. I think they may. But I like the fight. I don't like that the WBC made it for the world title right away. I do want to see Huck fight the rematch with when he lost his fight. We'll see what happens. What do you think of that fight?
Yeah, I think it's a good fight. I think it should be a good layup to see what's going to be in the near future, right after this fight. Depends on how they perform. And Marco Huck, you know what? We got to see what he does, as you said, fights in spurs and does what he has to do to rise to the occasion when he can. But we'll see what he does against Marius Briedis.
So just to get back to David Lemieux.
David Lemieux. I like David Lemieux.
He is scheduled to fight on the Canelo Alvarez, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. card, which is scheduled for May 6th. David Lemieux is fighting a pretty tough opponent when you really take a look at it. Marco Reyes, who's got a record of 34 wins, 4 losses, and 25 of his W's coming by knockout, will be the co-main event on the Canelo Chavez Jr. card. You got to give David Lemieux a lot of credit, Sal. In this day and age, it seems that fighters that fight 3 times a year are in line for Fighter of the Year award. And David Lemieux just fought a couple weeks ago, and now will be fighting fairly quickly after that signature win. I like this. I think fighters should be more active. I think if big-name fighters were more active and fighters on the rise fought more often and fought more, real fights, so to speak, I think the sport would benefit immensely from it. What do you think?
I think, of course, and here we are. David Lemieux is getting right back on the bicycle, and you know what? Don't be surprised if he gets past Reyes, he's going to be looking to get another big opportunity before the end of the year to fight another opponent. Maybe, like I said, he's going to fight probably 3 or 4 fights this year, and he challenges himself. He's been doing so ever since he lost to Triple G, and I think that we talk about some fights. I could see maybe in the fall a fight between him and Kell Brook. And then the winner of that fight getting a rematch with Triple G, but we'll see.
I think he's going to fight Canelo. There was
there
was talk about it after he knocked out Stevens. I was at that fight, and Canelo was the first name. The talk around ringside was Canelo. Golden Boy. Golden Boy Promotions would be in position to make some big bucks if that fight happens, and I think there would be a demand for it, and then maybe the winner of that fight fighting Triple G. Listen, if Triple G fights Billy Joe Saunders and collects the last belt that he doesn't have, for all intent purposes, if I'm Triple G, I walk away because all these guys playing games with him, he doesn't need them. How would, even if Canelo gets by Chavez Jr., which I honestly think he's in a tough fight, and should he get by Lemieux, which, again, the style of Canelo's got, Canelo, we've talked about this extensively. Canelo's fighting a guy in Chavez Jr. that will benefit from Canelo's style and his comfort zone where he likes to stand in front. Chavez Jr. needs a guy to stand in front of him, and so does David Lemieux. So Canelo, if he fights both these guys, he's going to be in tough fights. And, I don't know. If he does get by both Jr. and Lemieux, I think he might have waited a little too long to fight Triple G, and I don't think he's going to come out unscathed with those two fights.
No, I agree with you. I think if he is not as prepared as he should be for the Chavez Jr. fight, I think he's going to be in for a real rude awakening once he gets some of those body shots delivered to him. But if he does get past this fight with Chavez Jr., I think Dave Lemieux is going to be a real tough one too for him. Those are going to be two wars back to back and lining up. And I'll tell you what, Dave Lemieux has a big pop. We know that, and with Canelo's inability to punch side to side and moving the way that he could be, avoiding some of those punches, I think it's going to be a fight and a war of attrition in the middle of the ring.
Another fight that's set that I'm looking forward to. It's the rematch in the cruiserweight division between Dmitry Kurtazov and I'm not going to try to pronounce his first name. Let's just call him Olan Duradola. Kurtazov is 20-1 with 20 knockouts, and Duradola is 25-3 with 23 knockouts. It's going to take place May 20th in Russia. Duradola was an underdog when he fought Kudryasov in that fight and knocked him out. So we'll see what happens in that one in May. So we do have some good stuff coming up, Sal. And speaking
we do.
And speaking of good stuff coming up, I didn't want to say it, but we might as well. We got some big news that we're going to unleash on Friday, Sal and myself, about the show and some other platforms we're going to be available on pretty soon, like Monday. And you guys are gonna we're gonna officially announce it on Friday. But you guys are gonna love some new things that you're gonna notice on Friday's show. So we've been working on it, and for anybody that happened to have been around yesterday,
Don't say it.
Around yesterday for our testing.
It was a test run.
We had a little fun.
Private. Oh, really? Let me let my hair down.
Yeah, we had a little fun, and we thought we were broadcasting privately, but it turned out that it was not private. And I tried to calm Sal down, but the guy is off the wall. He's not as nice as he seems on the show. I mean,
easy.
But anyway, it was.
Yes, I am.
We were just testing.
Have a work sense of humor.
For anyone that might have stumbled across it, if we apologize,
I apologize.
If we owe anyone an apology, we won't get it in any deeper than that. But we apologize.
What the heck would happen?
Collectively, we apologize. But all I could say is there's not a safe chipmunk in the neighborhood right now. But I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
I was talking moles, baby. Moles.
I know, man. Did you have a good idea for me? I have a chipmunk from hell. He's
I'm telling you, Bill, it'll cure it. I picked up that thing at Ace Hardware. It'll eliminate the moles, the chipmunks, and anything else on Earth.
Yeah. See, Sal, you almost slipped again, didn't you, Sal? Didn't you?
Easy.
I will go to Ace. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, what I do want to mention real quick is before we take a break and have the Blast from the Past, which is coming up in a little bit, some stuff outside the boxing world. Interesting vote took place the other day, actually at the beginning of the week. The NFL had a owners meeting, and 32 teams voted 31-1 to approve the Oakland Raiders, to move to Las Vegas. I'm a little surprised. Listen, I'm surprised because Las Vegas is the place where they now take. Don't even think for a minute that we all know that gambling in sports is a big thing, and you can gamble on sports no matter where you are on this planet. And it doesn't matter what sport it is. You can throw bets on it. But, currently here in the United States, there's only one place that has what they call a sports book. And that, in case you don't know, is a place you can go into a casino in Las Vegas, sit down in like what I call heaven, and see every sporting event that's taken place and gamble on it. Right there, there's a window. You can go up and lines change, and you can. I happen to love it. It's sports bettor's dream to go to a sports bet. But in the United States, there's only one place, and that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, is the reasons why a lot of these professional sports teams, specifically league-oriented teams, were not putting teams in the city of Las Vegas because they thought it would be a conflict of interest, especially NFL. Well, because there's more money bet on NFL than any other sport. They approved it, and apparently Las Vegas has put together a proposal for the Raiders to build a domed stadium that would seat 65,000 people. They would also share it with UNLV. The completion of the project is slated for 2020. And the Raiders plan on staying in Oakland until then. A lot of conflicting opinions on it, but the city of Las Vegas tossed a $650 million pledge minimally. They're getting another $750 million from a tax that they're putting on the casinos. So they have a plethora of money to build this stadium. And despite it being, which would be the fifth smallest market in the NFL, it looks like it's approved. The only team that went against this vote, Sal, was the Miami Dolphins. And I found it shocking. Yeah, wow. It's like of all the teams, why does the Dolphins oppose it? And the owner of the Dolphins, Stephen Ross, had this to say. He said, the reason why I voted against it was that we as owners and as a league owe it to the fans to do everything we can to stay in the communities that have supported us until all options have been exhausted. I do want to wish Mr. Mark Davis and the Raiders organization the best in Las Vegas. He says, we just wanted to make sure that we made a statement. And I respect him for his reasoning there. And a lot of the Oakland Raiders fans are especially the ones that live in Oakland, are very upset that they're moving to Vegas. What's your thoughts, if any, on this, Sal?
Well, sure, so are the Brooklyn Dodger fans. But, I mean, it's... I don't know. I don't like it. When I started seeing teams as a kid move to different cities or different states, it's tough. You have your fan base, and there's a reason why there's a fan base established in a community, and it's like going through a bad divorce. They're leaving. Bye. So I think that it's whatever trade-offs there are. I think there has to be something that is valid to prove to be, why they're going to make that choice. And, it's the owners and, the owner's decision. And, it's business. At the end, sports has become and has always been business as well. It's not just for the good of the game, not just for the good of the fans, but it's the sports as a business. And that's what a lot of fans have a rude awakening to when it all comes to fruition. That's it.
Yeah, nobody wants to see their team leave the area.
I'd be ballistic if the New York Yankees leave. I don't care if they even came to Georgia. I still wouldn't like it.
Well, I mean,
maybe I would.
Professional sports is big money right now, and what's changed drastically is the fact that normal people don't attend the games anymore. It's more corporate based. I mean, these stadiums, specifically football, baseball stadiums, have become so extravagant. I was a season ticket holder for the New York Jets for over 30 years. And when we went to the new stadium, I did keep the tickets for a little bit, but I finally, got sick of driving all that way and driving home depressed because they lost, and which is a whole nother ballgame. But I mean, let's face it, it's tough being a Jets fan, But I actually like the Mets' new stadium. It's pretty cool, and it's just it opens up the door for success in the minor leagues and the the lower levels, because young families can bring their kids affordably. I mean, you go to a Mets or Yankees game. First of all, you're spending whatever it is, $12-15 for a beer or a soda. Soda's not that much. A hot dog is like $9. I mean, you park and it's costing you $30. I mean, you can't even get a ticket for under. I mean, you used to be able to get into a professional baseball game for a couple of bucks, and now, a family of four, you're going to dump a nickel on going to a game. By the time it's all said and done, parking, tickets, some food. I mean, family of four spending $500 for a baseball game, that's a lot of money, Sal.
Well, it's like going to Disney World for one day.
Hey, don't remind me. I'm taking 8 of us. There's going to be 8 of us going in February, and
are you kidding me?
Dude, first of all, they don't even have their pricing out, so I'm waiting. But I was just doing just some preliminary ballpark figure just to stay there. This doesn't even
minimal
account.
You're going to be under $5,000. You're going to be spending between $500 and $7,500 easy, maybe 10.
Try 15, Sal. Try
15,000?
Because here's the deal: for 8 people to stay in Disney. Now, this does not. We're not even in the park yet. We're just staying.
Are you staying in a resort hotel?
Yeah.
Forget about it. That's like anywhere between $300 and $500 a night for a room that could
for 8 people.
2 or 3.
For 8 people,
so you got times that.
For 8 people, the cheapest I saw in there is $2,800 a night for 8 people. $2,800 a night. And you're not
a travel agent. Maybe they know something.
And I mean, Mickey Mouse better be coming home with us.
You better take that mouse.
Mickey Mouse better live with us for a year after that. But whatever. Snow White I better be able to go on a date with. I better be able to get a little something from Snow White. Let me tell you that. But anyway. We got that, but it ain't easy being green. It ain't easy. No. But listen, Sal, we're gonna take a break here, and we're gonna throw you to the curb because we got Alex coming to join us in a little bit and do the blast from the past. But Sal, I'm real excited about unveiling what we got at the end of the week here, and I know you are too. I just pray that you are not mechanically. Challenged the way you are, because that will certainly put a damper on things. So I really hope that you get your what together by the time I see you.
I think we should try another dry run tomorrow. You and I think we definitely should.
Yeah, me too. I got some topics we can I got some topics we could broadcast.
No, we're going to be careful. We're going to keep it private, all right? Make sure that thing is down. You told me that it was private yesterday.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah,
but
anyway. Dax was saying I was still up. He was looking at it.
No, he's kidding.
Go check it. He's kidding.
It's definitely
right.
not up.
Yeah, push the panic button.
But make that other appointment. You were supposed to do that yesterday.
I know. I'm going for the trapeze right here. I'm gonna be grabbing that rod right now.
I see that. Sal, we'll talk to you tomorrow, my man.
Have a great day. Take care, everybody. Ciao.
That's my man, Sal Rocky Senecola. You can catch him here every day. I'm going to take a short break. When I get back, we're going to have our blast from the past. This week, it features former world champion and Boxing Hall of Famer, Kenny Buchanan. We'll be back in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
It's Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to the Billy C Morning Show, part of the Billy C Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And, we're back, man. You're listening to the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us today. And, listen, did you ever hear of Gawk Box? No? Well, check it out, man. Go to our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and there's a banner on the left-hand side. It says Gawk Box. Click it, and you'll find out what it is. Basically, in a nutshell, if you like apps and stuff like that for your handheld, you get them. There's a lot of them for free. You can do a lot of stuff with Gawk Box, and it's a way to help the show out and to help yourself out, too. So check it out. Visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Gawk Box section, which is on the left-hand side. And while you're at it, don't forget, on your handheld, go to Fight, that's F-I-T-E, fight.tv/BillyC, and download the Billy C app on Fight TV right now. And you will be in a position to get some of the pay-per-views that Fight TV offers when you can watch events that no one else has. So check it out. Go to fight.tv/BillyC. Well, it's that time again.
Blast from the past. We shine the spotlight again on fighters from years past.
top-ranking heavy. Joe Louis is the leading contender.
Joe Frazier with a left hook. Good right hand thrown by Foreman that time. Look at that left hook.
Belt that goes to Ray Mancini.
It's Blast from the Past on Talkin' Boxing.
And this week's Blast from the Past, which is being sponsored by the Title Bout Championship computer game. Download yourself a copy right now. You can visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and the Title Bout link is on the left-hand side, so get yourself a copy. Alex uses it during our Blast from the Past to simulate fighters that we feature on our Blast from the Past against the current champion. So it's a pretty cool program and game and tool to use, especially if you like this dream about matchups. And also, today's Blast from the Past is being brought to us by KOFantasyBoxing.com. Check it out. Sign up today, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And this week's Blast from the Past features a former world champion and a boxing Hall of Famer, and a request, another Blast from the Past request, Ken Buchanan. And joining me right now to tell us all about Kenny Buchanan is my man, Alex Perpali. What's up, Alex?
Good morning, Billy C. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about you? How about yourself, man?
I am doing well. But I have to tell you something. I have a little bit of a problem here. I don't know if I mentioned it on the air last week, but it was going on live last week as well. It continues. There seems to be a mouse in my house. And last week, as the show started, one of my cats had cornered him in the kitchen, but it escaped, and it continues to escape. I saw it again last night. These cats are useless. I got two of them. They can't catch a little mouse. He's so tiny. I don't know if he's charging $2,800 a night to room at his hotel, though.
I thought
he's getting free room on board here.
I obviously he's Houdini Mouse, or he's he's taking some steroids or something. He's got your cats a little scared. But when you said you had a mouse in the house, I thought maybe it was Minnie and you were getting your wish. I mean, I don't
know. No. Unfortunately, this he laughs at me. He looks at me, and I've seen him. I think more than the cats do. The cats, all they do is sleep. It's funny because the male, it's kind of like if they were fighters, he'd be Michael Nunn, and the female is like Marciano. But the thing is, the male is like the boss of the house, and the female doesn't want to cause trouble. So if the male is messing with the mouse, the female will not interject. But she's the real mouser. But she will defer to him and let him just bat around with it. And he doesn't seem to know to kill it. He just seems to want to tag it, let it run a few steps away, and then he rolls it over again. I'm like, what are you trying to win a decision here? Kill the thing.
He's pulling a Floyd Mayweather, it sounds like. I mean, he's just, wanting to just go to distance. Just a lot of times mice with cats, if they see them in the house, they think it's okay, but you let them outside and they'll kill anything that moves, but anyway.
Yet they must think it's another roommate.
Yeah, that somebody else is, helping them get their food, get their Friskies, but anyway, Kenny Buchanan. Every time I think of Kenny Buchanan, I'm thinking of, I'm thinking in the ass beating he took by Roberto Duran in 1972. But tell us about Kenny.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Unfortunate, I think, how that happens. But there's no. I don't know. I think the same thing for me kind of happens whenever I think of Fernando Vargas. He's a fighter I've always loved, and I can't help but think of him and instantaneously think of his tremendous fight, but loss to Felix Trinidad. And I think the same thing happens to Kenny Buchanan fans, is that they can't help but think what might have been if not for failing in one of the greatest matchups of his life. And we'll get to that. That was just a tremendous fight, definitely a classic of the last 40 years or so. But Kenny Buchanan, and I'm sorry, right off the bat, I seem to have a hard time pronouncing some of these. I can't even say where he's from. I have a hard time with this word. Some of these Scottish pronunciations are difficult for me. But Edinburgh is where he was born, in Scotland. And he was born June 28th, 1945. He's 5'7" tall and a half inches tall. And he fought at lightweight, 135 pounds. He was a very quiet and unassuming guy. He actually got his start at the Spartan gym, which kind of makes sense because he was certainly a Spartan in his training lifestyle, at least when he got started. He started, in terms of his practical career, he worked as a cabinet maker. He got interested in boxing very young. At just 8.5 years old, his dad took him to see the movie The Joe Louis Story. And it was interesting what inspired him. There's a scene where Chappie, who of course was Joe Louis's trainer, Jack Blackburn, who was another all-time great lightweight, is wrapping Joe Louis's hands in the movie. And he says to Joe, if you want to get to the top, there's only one way to do it, and that's the hard way. There is no easy way. And something about that seemed to spark something in Ken Buchanan. It seemed like boxing was something he wanted to do, to hone himself into a champion. And that was one of his hallmarks. He was always extremely fit. There was an elegance and a class to his boxing. He had a terrific left jab, which, as they say, it operated like a piston. But he's somebody who he shunned the spotlight, and he was quiet and unassuming. I don't think I mentioned that already. One of the things, we always hear some interesting things of how, what little individual type things fighters learned. Maybe an old wives' tale or something to toughen themselves up. His trainer, a manager named Eddie Thomas, said to him that one of the best. This was a method, and this is pretty gross, Billy C. But this was a method to prevent cuts and toughen up your skin. And he said to him, Ken, before you go to bed at night, do you like to use the toilet? And he said, yeah. He said, well, when you do it, urinate on your hands and take some of that urine and rub it into your brow, and that'll toughen up that skin. So for a long time, Kenny Buchanan did it until he realized that his manager was just playing with him. It was just a practical joke.
Yeah, that sounds like it. You know.
But Juan Manuel Marquez, of course, did him one better by drinking it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they used to think that Jack Dempsey was crazy. What did he put on his skin to toughen it up? Brie? Not Brie. Brine. Brine. Right. Not Brie.
Brie.
Yeah. No, not Brie. That's cheese. No wonder why they called him a cheesehead. But hey,
That's Jacqueline Dempsey.
Doesn't Edinburgh doesn't ring a bell to you?
Yeah, isn't that was where Tom Molyneux ended up, right?
Yeah. Tom Molyneux ended up fighting in Scotland for a while, and then Edinburgh is one of the
it's
places.
hard for us to get our mouths around it, isn't it? Edinburgh.
Well, listen,
I don't know.
You're talking to the wrong guy. I had to shorten my name because I can't even pronounce that. But
I know we're talking about the Jorge Linares fight.
Right. But hey, I say that right, Linares.
It's Linares.
Yeah, but that's not how the Brits were saying it. Linares.
Oh, they say Linares?
Yeah.
No, Linares is not right. He's Latino. It's Linares.
And not only that, but everybody says that I was pronouncing Tony Bellu's name wrong, and that's exactly how they pronounced it. Tony Bellew.
What do they say? Bellew, right?
Bellew, yeah.
Bellew. Yeah.
Anyway, Kenny Buchanan.
Well, there's a pretty good documentary about Kenny Buchanan on YouTube. And I wish it had subtitles through the whole thing because that Scottish accent he's got is pretty tough.
Who, Kenny?
Oh, yeah.
No, the worst, the guy is who's the Scottish race car driver, something Stewart. He's going around the corner. Oh, man, that guy was hard to understand. But anyway, Kenny Buchanan, one thing I kind of realized about Kenny Buchanan when we were doing this, Alex, is that can you believe that a lot of fans have forgotten this guy? Even BoxRec. When you look at BoxRec, a lot of times when you go to BoxRec, which is a great place for information, it's not 100% factual. There are some things that are questionable in there, and certainly you can't. It's not the official record keeping place or anything like that, but it's pretty close. And I was amazed that usually under like the biography of a fighter on BoxRec, especially regardless of the era, if it was a known fighter, there's a lot of information there. Kenny Buchanan had like a half a page. There was nothing. It was like a guy that we dig up an opponent, Slim Stevens Swine that fought somebody in 1924, and he had a record of 0-1. When you punch up his name, usually you get a half a page of nothing. And when I punched up Kenny Buchanan just to see, I got a half a page of nothing. I was a little uptight about that. Did you notice that?
Yeah, that is too bad. Slim Stevens Swine. Who's he? Is he in the Mike Tyson Punch-Out game?
Yeah, it is.
That's pretty good. You just made that up.
He was the guy that Glass Joe actually beat. But anyway.
No, I it's interesting you mentioned it because I did see that there is, in terms of books written about him, it does look like there is a Ken Buchanan autobiography that was available in the UK. I saw it on Amazon.uk. I don't see that it was ever available in the U.S. But that's one of those things. Maybe sometimes you can grab those at Canistoto at that card show on the Saturday mornings that they have during the Hall of Fame induction festivities. And of course, Ken Buchanan is somebody who goes to that quite a bit. Although I was not there last year, but I don't remember if he was there the year before. But a lot of times he is there. He's approachable these days. Whereas when he was younger, it does seem that he kind of shunned the spotlight. He wasn't somebody who liked all the shiny fast cars and interviews and all that kind of stuff. He was a bit of a homebody.
Are you going this year to the Hall of Fame? I know that has nothing to do with Kenny Buchanan, but are you going?
I did book a hotel, yes.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go too, but
Yeah, I mean, I love Barrera, so I kind of have to go.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
I'm wondering if Evander's going to actually crack a smile at all. But when I look at Kenny Buchanan's record, the thing that sticks out the most is a 11 fight run that spanned 3 years, which in itself is kind of different than today. I mean, 3 years today, you know, if a fighter fights 6 times in 3 years, and I'm talking about an established fighter, you know, if he fights 8 times, you know, you jumping for joy. He's winning Fighter of the Year awards. And Kenny Buchanan was a well-established fighter by 1970. And when you look at the string of fights he fought, from the first one when he won the world title in 1970 against Ismael Laguna in San Juan, Puerto Rico, it's unbelievable when you really take a close look. He beat Laguna in 1970 in September. 3 months later, he fights an undefeated Donato Podano, beats him. He fights Ruben Navarro a couple of months after that, who was 24-2-2, again a world title fight, beats him. Carlos Hernandez, a little older at the time, but still, Carlos Hernandez knocks him out in 8, gives Laguna a rematch in New York City, beats him, faces a once-beaten Al Ford, beats him in 72, fights Andres Stein, which is the only name I'm not familiar with, but he had an impressive record of 25-2, knocking him out in 3, and then, unfortunately, steps in with Roberto Duran, loses that, but then follows that with a win over Carlos Ortiz, Chang Kil Lee, and the last fight of note, really, against Jim Watt in 1973. I honestly don't think he was the same fighter after the Duran fight. I loved that fight. Unfortunately for Buchanan, he came up short.
Oh, yeah. He definitely, you know, left a part of himself in the ring that night. In more ways than one, unfortunately, because of the way the fight ended. But you know, as we say sometimes in this sport, that is the nature of it. Some contests are so brutal that you know, a fighter is forever changed after that. But yeah, it's an absolutely brilliant fight. You have the boxer versus the slugger in Buchanan, the boxer versus the slugger Duran. And it's just, you know, brilliant boxing match that, you know, it has moments of sheer war, and it ends, you know, Duran is just a ferocious fighter, and I guess it is. I did not see the Duran movie recently. I've heard very bad things about it, bad reviews, but evidently that, as it should, I would assume that fight does figure in the movie. But Duran throws a lot of low blows. He's a lot of rough stuff. And in that final round, unfortunately, it is 1971, so you don't have the camera angles and the super slow-mo like we have. I mean, 1972, rather. You don't have the camera situations that we have now where somebody could catch it. And even today, there's some things happen in the ring that sometimes you can't see from any angle. But this was ridiculous. A lot of time they often refer to it as a knee from Duran. I don't think it was a knee. I think he punches him, hits him with an uppercut, but you can literally see Buchanan scream out, and he's dropped. And the referee calls it a knockdown. Referee Johnny LoBianco doesn't call it an illegal blow, and the fight ends on a 13th round TKO for Duran in a fight that who knows what would have happened. And that's one of those fights where people talk about if classic fights were only 12 rounds, you wonder if that was a 12-rounder and they went to the cards, Buchanan might have won it, but because it was a close fight, and it's just it's unfortunate. But again, It's just a classic fight, and he came up on the losing end. And to this day, a couple times a month, he literally had a crushed testicle from whatever it was that hit him, whether it was a knee or a punch. But like I said, I definitely think it was a punch, because you can see the arm movement from Duran right before the scream. But a couple times a month, he thinks of Duran when he gets a little pain on urination.
That fight changed the direction of Duran's career. And he should be thanking Buchanan for that because of the performance and the ultimate outcome. And that was a trivia question I had for a long time. What was Duran's first nickname? And in that fight, if you guys watch it, you'll see it wasn't Hands of Stone. It was Rocky. Everybody, his nickname was Rocky Duran. All their robes had Rocky Duran on it, and he became.
Did you see the movie?
I did not see the movie. It
I
wasn't
wonder if they had that detail. I wonder if he has Rocky on his robe.
Well, the movie wasn't in the theaters long enough. I mean, it lasted like an hour and a half, and it was already taken off. But
yeah, I think it was really caca. I really heard nothing good about it.
But Kenny Buchanan, I think he was a changed fighter, despite having a couple of decent fights after that. He was never the same, and he started to deteriorate. He did end up with European title again, and actually retired from boxing in 1975 with a win against Giancarlo Usai, and then came back after a 4-year retirement. Didn't do too well, and a lot of the reasons he came back was financial, right?
Yeah, he did, have some problems with alcohol, and he did lose some, investments. At one point, it seemed like he owned a major investment in a hotel. So he did, have to come back to the sport to try to earn a living. But like you had said, that little stretch of his career, of those 11 fights, at one point he, on 2 occasions, I think it was twice, maybe it was more than that, but there were, on 2 occasions he fought with Ali on the same card. I think both of them were at Madison Square Garden. One was the Ali Patterson, and the other was Ali Bonavena. When Ali fought Bonavena, they for some reason they didn't have a dressing room for Ali. The Bonavena fight, remember, was one of his fights in his return from exile, and it was Buchanan's first fight after winning the title from Ismael Laguna, and but it looks like it was a non-title fight because it was a 10-rounder, and they didn't have a dressing room for Ali, so they asked Buchanan, could you share with Muhammad Ali? And sure, of course he did, and but he wanted to play with the champ a little bit, so he got a piece of chalk and he drew a line right down the center of the floor of the dressing room, and he said to the greatest, he said, "Now you stay over there on my side, on your side, and I'll stay on my side, and if you come over here, I'm going to sock you." And everybody in the room went silent, and then eventually they both started cracking up. And they'd started a nice little friendship, and they were friends even to later in life. And, of course, it was something that Buchanan was very sad to see a man that was like Ali, who was so, ebullient, to be trapped in a condition like that where he couldn't express himself. That just was a sad thing to see.
Yeah, that was a bittersweet thing for a guy like Ali, who was so well known for expressing himself, and to basically have those thoughts trapped in his own mind was I couldn't imagine. But Kenny Buchanan did make a comeback, and like I said, didn't do too well. As a matter of fact, his last 4 fights against very low-end opposition all ended with losing decisions. And there was even rumor of him returning about 10 years ago or so at 60 years old. He was in real good shape. I think he was running a gym at the time, and he was trying to fight, and nobody would grant him a license and stuff. And I think it just goes to show that he was in some financial disarray as well as, like you said, battling alcoholism. And also, I had heard something about a belt. Did he have to sell a championship belt, or was it stolen, or what's the story with that?
That's one of the things that's sort of interesting, is that it does look like that's one of the reasons why he wanted to come back. And mind you, he admits that he has a broken back. There's actually one of his vertebrae has I think it's called a wedge fracture to one of his vertebrae, and he's on painkillers, but he wanted to fight in what sounds kind of like it was kind of like a white-collar boxing type thing, or like fantasy camp boxing, where you get to spar with one of your, idols. So it wasn't going to be like he was in a real fight like Roy Jones continues right now. It was more a bit of an exhibition, but still, 63-year-old man having to do it for money, just very sad. Not sure if it actually happened or not, but it was, like you said, because he was in need of money, and one of the reasons why he needed the money was he was trying to sue one of the UK papers for a story about him selling his belts, that he was so broke he needed money and sold his belts. Evidently that wasn't the case. He might have sold, I guess he provided the Lonsdale belt that he had won to to some place that displayed it, and that was one of the reasons why he wanted to raise some money, was to be able to sue them for libel, because he claimed that was not the case, that he did not sell them for money. But yeah, I mean, when you look at he is in the Hall of Fame, and when you look at his career, he had, he fought 3 Hall of Famers, and in Ismael Laguna, and he was 2-0, 2 decisions over him. He fought Carlos Ortiz, who was making a comeback when he faced him, and he was 1-0 with 1 stoppage of Carlos Ortiz, and of course the all-time classic defeat to Roberto Duran, which, if history was just, and history of course is not just, he would have a disqualification win. But of course, that is not what happened.
He had a solid chin. In his 8 losses, he was only stopped 1 time, and that was the Roberto Duran fight. It was a TKO stoppage. And he was more of a boxer. He was a finesse fighter. Didn't really destroy people, beat them over the course of the fight. 39% knockout ratio for Kenny Buchanan. And, he's a guy that I think is being lost in the shuffle. It bothers me when, real, quality fighters are virtually forgotten early. And I say early because, I mean, even though it was a comeback, and even though, it really wasn't himself. I mean, his heyday was the early 70s. He fought, his last fights were 1982, I mean, you would think that, I know that's a while ago already, but you would think that, people would still remember who the guy was.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, listen, hold that thought. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Alex will give us a lowdown on how Kenny Buchanan did in the title bout game, and any final thoughts on the Hall of Famer. We'll discuss in about 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back. Part of the Billy C. Boxing Network.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe. On the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.kofantasyboxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.kofantasyboxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.kofantasyboxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to the Billy C Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com, part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C Show, and we're in the middle of our Blast from the Past, which features former world champion and boxing Hall of Famer Kenny Buchanan. And Alex Papali is telling us about him. Do you have any final thoughts on Mr. Buchanan?
I'll just leave you with a quote from him. This was from an article in August of '71. To me, boxing is not taking punches, and a sensible man doesn't take punches like that when he knows that he's made enough money in boxing to get out gracefully and lead a normal life. No man wants his kid saying, "What was that you said, Daddy?" That's the way I feel about boxing. I thought that was pretty good.
It's interesting. Sometimes these guys, fighters have a unique perspective on things, and I guess it's the type of sport. I mean, the amount of dedication that you got to put into it not only works you physically but mentally. And I think that the fighters that come out on top are strong mentally, even though they show signs of weaknesses later on in life, or maybe because things don't go the way they want or whatever. I think that they have a unique point and an outlook on life that most people just can't see through their eyes, and I think Kenny Buchanan's a good example of that.
Definitely a Spartan.
A Spartan, if you will.
That's right.
From Edinburgh or whatever. But,
Edinburgh.
Yeah. How did he do in title bout, brother?
So I put Kenny Buchanan in his famous tartan trunks in against two of the greats of today, the top lightweights. First, I put him in against Jorge Linares, who we saw win the rematch with Crawler this weekend. The first time they fought, Buchanan wins by TKO at 1 minute and 33 seconds of round number 5. When they fight 100 times, Buchanan gets the best of him. He wins 72 victories, 22 defeats, 6 draws, and he scores 23 knockouts. In Linares' 22 wins, he was able to score 9 knockouts. And then I had him fight Mikey Garcia. And the first time they fought, it's a split decision for Buchanan. One score, pretty lopsided scores. One score of 117-111, a score of 114-113 for Garcia, and another score of 118-111 for Buchanan. And Buchanan had Garcia down in the 6th. When they fight 100 times, Buchanan gets the best of Garcia. 74 victories, 18 defeats, 8 draws, 17 wins by knockout, and Garcia able to score 4 KOs in his 18 victories.
Good deal.
Yeah,
Good deal. Kenny Buchanan. Kenny Buchanan, good job as usual, Alex. Ken Buchanan had a career record of 61 wins, 27 coming by knockout. He had 8 losses in which he was only stopped 1 time, and that was against Roberto Duran. He had a knockout percentage of 39%. He is a former world lightweight champion and a boxing Hall of Famer, inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in the year 2000. One thing I wanted to ask you before we let you go, what's he doing now?
I don't know what he's doing right now. the stuff with trying to get boxing was just a couple years ago. That was, I think, well, I guess 6 years ago now, 5 years ago. So I don't know right these years now.
Yeah, well,
maybe we'll see him in June.
I thought that he, I thought that he was. I thought for some reason I heard somewhere that he was active with the gym, or maybe.
I don't know. You know, I'm sorry, I did forget. I think it. Because I looked last night to find it. There was a recent documentary. I think it was released. It was either released in 2015 or 2016, called "The Boxer from Somewhere Else." So he might have, at least in the UK, gotten a little bit of resurgence of notoriety there with that release. I don't know if it was released in theaters. It doesn't seem that you can find. You could find the trailer on Vimeo.com, but you can't. I couldn't find anywhere to watch the whole documentary online.
Good job as usual, Alex, and we'll look forward to next week's Blast from the Past. We've been getting a lot of requests, and I think that's great. So keep the requests coming. Just drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Alex, I wanted to get your thoughts on a few things. First and foremost, Jorge Linares, the way you like to pronounce it, which may be the right way, I don't know. His performance this past weekend was a good one. I think it was could be put in his little resume as possibly the best performance of his career. I think that, you know, he did what, and I said this earlier in the week, he did what fighters must do when they want to go into someone else's backyard. And this was even a little harder because it was a rematch in someone else's backyard. And he left no doubt. I mean, yes, it's always good to knock your opponent out, but he had his foot on the gas pedal all the way down, if you will, for the full 12 rounds. And that's what fighters need to do. You don't see that. It's become an exception, not a rule today. What was your thoughts on the fight and the performance?
Yeah, I thought he looked sensational. I loved the uppercut that he just kept hammering Krola with. It just was an amazing shot. And it was a really good performance. One of the things that's amazing about social media today, Billy C, I got to send you the picture, but I saw a picture somebody posted of him after the fight with his wife. Wow. I was a little surprised Showtime didn't show her. You know, they like to show the family. Well, I wouldn't have minded if they showed his wife. So he's got... that might have been his greatest performance, but he's got a lot to be thankful for outside the ring as well.
Send it to me. You know I love that stuff. and you're right. The uppercut, Krola couldn't get away from that, man. I mean,
it was amazing. So accurate, yeah.
And not only was it accurate, but it was coming from all angles. I don't know if I've ever seen a fighter be so successful with an uppercut coming at all angles and as quick and as sharp and as accurate, like you said, as he was. I mean, it was definitely finding the mark. I mean, they must have put a little X right on the chin of Anthony Krola because he couldn't get away from it.
Yeah, it was amazing. It just went right up the middle. Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
And he was doing it off the side too. He was coming in from the side and he was landing. It was pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, Krola just looked stunned.
I know, but you got to give him credit for having heart. I mean, that was, that he definitely showed a lot of heart. But another thing I wanted to ask you, what's your thoughts on this Crocker you-know-what from the WBC all of a sudden finding a way to cash in on a sanctioning fee and label Tony Bellew as a champion of Muay Thai. See, I said it right this time. And naming the Huck Breeders fight for the title.
It's not too surprising that they want to get a little sanctioning fee there. I am looking forward to that fight. I think it's going to be a good matchup. But, I think for the most part, most of what sanctioning bodies do should be ignored.
No, they devalue their own belts. I mean, that's and the truth of the matter is they don't care about the value of the belt. They care about the sanctioning fee, and it's just it boggles my mind that there's so many fans that don't see through that. But
yeah, it's too bad because we're in sort of a catch-22 because one of the things some of the people that the belt does mean something to is the fighters. A lot of times it means a bigger paycheck. It means, some sense of notoriety and accomplishment. But, it doesn't mean what it used to. There's only one world. So, when you splinter it up and give belts for different segments of it, it kind of cheapens the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there 100%. We were talking about the possibility of David Lemieux fighting Canelo Alvarez, and I was ringside for the fight at the Turning Stone, and that was the first name that Lemieux mentioned, and lo and behold, a week later, he's the co-main event for the Canelo and Chavez Jr. fight. Do you see that being Canelo's next fight, should he get by Jr.? And how do you see it? I mean, do you think that that's a fight that the fans want to see, or do you think that the excitement around Lemieux and his knockout victory over Stevens is what's catapulting him into the limelight?
I think Canelo Lemieux would be fun. There's a lot of interesting things going on at middleweight now. I'd like to see Canelo versus Lemieux. I think Canelo beats him. But I do think Canelo has something in front of him that's, not. I think he beats Chavez, but I think Chavez is the kind of guy that can get lucky.
I know.
He almost got lucky against Martinez, and I think Martinez is certainly a more accomplished boxer than Saul Alvarez. Alvarez has some, physical attributes that Martinez didn't have in terms of probably being able to, withstand a little heavier punishment from Chavez Jr. But, Chavez Jr. can really crack. So he's got at least a puncher's chance. But, Canelo Lemieux is a great fight. I mean, there's Danny Jacobs versus Lemieux is a good fight. There's a lot that could... Golovkin Lemieux too could be interesting. I would think Golovkin wants to fight again, this year.
Well, I think he's going to go after Saunders because that would give him all the belts, and that's something that he wanted. I think that Lemieux Jacobs would be a great fight, although I think Jacobs has the upper hand, not because of anything other than the fact that he's got movement and hand speed, and I think that that's what would beat Lemieux. And that brings me to the Canelo. Canelo, he's fighting, assuming he fights Chavez Jr. and then follows that with Lemieux, he would be fighting two guys that are actually the worst styles for his style. And I believe that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is going to give Canelo a lot of trouble in May. And I would not be shocked if he upsets the apple cart and beats Canelo. Not that he's a better boxer or anything like that, but the style in which Canelo fights is going to be perfect for Chavez Jr. to work that body. And we all know he's got a solid chin, and it's going to all boil down to how he trains. If he takes his training serious, Canelo's in for a tough night, and maybe Lemieux ends up fighting Chavez or goes a different route. I don't know. I'm actually, at first when they announced it, I was like, oh my God. But now I can't wait to see, because a lot is riding on the Canelo Chavez Jr. fight. But
I wasn't too excited about it either, but I do think that it's going to be a fun matchup. And you're right, I think Lemieux Chavez Jr. might be a more entertaining fight. It's certainly, there's not a lot of science in it. It would be a crude, bout between troglodytes, but it would be fun to watch.
Yeah. One last thing I wanted to get you. Today we kicked off the show with an early April Fool's joke, and basically I announced that Floyd Mayweather signed, sealed, and delivered to fight Triple G in September, and blah blah blah, and we all got a little chuckle out of it. But the serious part of that is the fact that Floyd, it is a joke, and that Floyd Mayweather never really has challenged himself to that degree. And in all seriousness, I mean, I'll be the first to admit I'm not a huge Floyd fan, but I also believe that we haven't seen the best Floyd, and we never will. And I think that if Floyd followed a path of challenging himself and going after those big fights, tough challenges, so to speak, we may have gotten to see a guy that lives up to his own self-proclaimed the best ever. What's your thoughts on the fact that you can even joke about a guy who avoids these big challenges and yet has a fan base that believes that he's great?
Yeah, it is too bad that there's so many people that are just willing to be to look away from reality on things and just sort of buy into an argument about his greatness, because that's really what it is. When you don't have the legitimate statistics of win over this guy, then you're just making an argument as to why you're as great as you say you are. It's not as proven. I do think Mayweather is great, but I don't have much doubt that he could beat Triple G, especially after seeing what Jacobs did. Now, it would look different, because I thought Jacobs deserved the decision. I thought he beat him 7-5. When I watched it a second time, I was able to see Golovkin getting a razor-thin win by 1 point. But, so not a robbery, definitely a close fight. But I think Mayweather would definitely be able to beat him. It would be duller, but I think that he would be able to nullify Triple G's assault. We saw that Jacobs could do that. The one thing that Floyd doesn't have, that I think people really give him so much credit, like you said, in that the people who are his staunch defenders and just buy his argument say, "Oh, but he's so small. Triple G's so much bigger." And I think that that is a point there and that's why I say it would look different, because part of Danny Jacobs' success was the weight advantage. I think that he was just bigger and stronger, and Floyd would not have that same thing. Although I do think that middleweight is not a stretch. I think he could do that. And remember, he's teased us into thinking like that, because he did fight Canelo at 154. So it's not unheard of to think, well, what about 160? When you're supposed to be the greatest ever. So you're right. I mean, it is. I don't know. It's a long task to ask of him to fight a Triple G. But we know now Triple G is not unbeatable, and if he's the greatest in the world, then why not challenge yourself?
And the other thing is he's not smaller than Triple G. I mean, that's the fact. And when you look in the history book, all of the greats did what Floyd is not doing. They all did it. They all went, Sugar Ray Leonard, all of them. I mean, he's not, he's the first one that comes to mind because we were talking about Hagler today, but every one of them went, Sugar Ray Robinson, you could even go to Ali, of course. I mean, nobody challenged himself more than Muhammad Ali, and all the greats that are etched in stone did that. They wanted to prove that they were the best in every aspect. Their goal was to be the greatest fighter of all time, and the only way to do that is to do things outside the comfort zone, outside the box, and that's something that Floyd has never done. And to have the argument with people that say, well, yeah, he could beat Triple G, so why should he fight him? And that's the answer I've gotten. He's the best. Of course he can beat so and so. He doesn't have to fight him. It's like, well, wait a minute. Since when don't you have to do the fight? I mean, that's what's always boggled my mind.
Right. Yeah, you got to fight the fights because you never know what could happen.
Exactly.
Look at Buchanan Duran.
And we just did today. I mean, big fight.
I mean, that's the thing about a fight. A fight could end in, some, just an unsuspected way, and that's the thing that's what Floyd doesn't like. That's risk.
Yeah, and Floyd doesn't like risk. We know that. But anyway,
He likes calculations. I mean, it's almost like he's a corporation. He makes moves like a business, not like a fighter.
And I applaud him for that. From a business side, there's no doubt that he's made some smart moves. But Alex, I appreciate the blast today and your thoughts, and I urge you to tune in on Friday for some stuff, and then I got to follow up with a conversation with you so we can have you ready for Friday's improvements.
Oh, okay. All right, sounds good.
All right, my man. Have a good one, brother.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
That's Alex Perpali. You can catch him when we do our Blast from the Past each week right here on The Billy C. Show. On this day in boxing history, in 1988, Lord Honeygane knocks out Jorge Vaca in the third round to regain the WBC World Welterweight title. Took place in London. On this day in 1985, Joey Olivia wins a 15-round decision over Francisco Juarez to win the WBA Junior Flyweight title. Took place in Miami. On this day in 1966, Muhammad Ali wins a 15-round decision over George Chuvalo to retain his World Heavyweight title. Took place in Toronto. On this day in 1940, Joe Louis knocks out Johnny Paycheck in the second round to retain his World Heavyweight title. Took place at Madison Square Garden in New York City. And on this day in 1929, in the first meeting in the Stanley Cup Finals between two American-based teams and the first ever played at Madison Square Garden, the Boston Bruins beat the Rangers 2-1. And I threw that in there because I felt like it. Anyway, hey, make sure you tune in next time because we got some great stuff to unveil and to announce. So don't miss our next show. So until then, all I'll leave you is with this. Make sure you tune in same time, same bat channel. And until then, ciao, baby.